Alright, round number 5, playing for the 4-1. It's a perfectly serviceable hand on the draw. Opponent mulliganed. I scry to the top. So lucky. Man, my hand's looking pretty nice, I must say. Ooh. I like this hand a lot. See what my opponent's first play of the game is. Rampaging Ferocodon. That's not a bad one at all. Not at all. Menace is also obnoxious. Okay. Well, my play doesn't really change here. There were some scenarios where I'd consider leaving my creature back to crew the schooner and threaten a block, but obviously Menace means I can't do that. At least he's taking damage too. Okay. I guess I'm playing the Paladin first. I have to decide how I want to leave my creatures back to block. Probably all of them. I want to threaten a block on the Rampaging Ferocodon. So I want to leave everything back so I can crew up the Sleek Schooner and put up like a double block on the Ferocodon. Ability is pretty relevant against me. Can't gain life. Won't be able to steal a game with the Sanctum Seer or anything. Let's go to combat. It's pretty free for him to send both of his dudes into the red zone. Don't know what his hand looks like, but go ahead and crew this with, I guess, Vampire, doesn't really matter. I think I just double up on the Ferocodon. Worst case scenario here would be Sure Strike. At least that forces him to spend his whole turn doing it. Trade happens, I'm fine with that. Oh, that was very good for me. I was worried about him playing a creature that could profitably block, but now we just get to go nuts with this Sanctum Seer. Growing Rites I don't think is a very good card. Blossom Dryad, sure. If it could also hit lands, I might like it more, but the fact that it can only hit creatures I think just makes it so inconsistent. It's actually a decent question of whether I play the Sanctum Seeker or the Paladin first. I think the Sanctum Seeker might do more damage. It also, well, I don't really want to block. So let's do the actual math. If I play the Sanctum Seeker, this turn I get in for 6 plus 3 is 9. The next turn I get an extra, what, 4 triggers? Plus whatever damage is, or I can just play Paladin and then I get 5 triggers off the Sanctum Seeker the next turn, but his blocks get a little better. So that's worth noting. I think I just want to get the Sanctum Seeker down now while I know I can get value. Get 3 triggers, deal a bunch of damage. It kind of forces him to do something now. going to be kind of hard for him to deal with a 3-4. Best he can probably hope for in those colors is like Pounce or Savage Stomp, but then he has to lose his guy. Yep, just has to 2-for-1 himself. This game looks pretty over to me. He's also missing land drops. Send in for 6, or for 5. I think this game's just over. Rampaging Ferocodon was one of the better rares he could have had to combat the Sanctum Seeker, but yep, we still managed to overcome it. Our draw was pretty nutty there. Kind of exactly what we want to be doing. So, against a red-green mid-range deck, don't really want to go back to the green deck, but we might still want to change a couple things. Maybe the Fire Cannon. Dowsing Dagger I actually don't mind in green matchups, especially on defense, because it can cause my smaller creatures to trade up in value on defense. Like, giving him defenders when I'm the one behind is not that big of a deal, so I actually don't mind it as much. I think Duress is still fine. Haven't seen much of his deck, but every deck's going to have a good number of non-creature spells. I'll hold off on the Fire Cannon until I've seen more of his deck and I know how many creatures it'll kill. I think I only saw the Frenzied Raptor that it actually deals with, and he's likely to have creatures that are bigger than 2 toughness, which are going to be the bigger problem than his 2 and 3 drops or whatever. Another excellent hand. I'll take it. Keep. He kept his 7 this time. So let's go ahead and Duress right off the bat. Nothing, huh? Okay. 2 Blossom Dryads, Air Elemental, Vine Shaper Mystic. Okay, let's print screen that. Looks manageable. How unlucky. Drew an Opt for the turn, not a bad draw. See what he does with the Scry. Puts it on top. Could mean he just kept a land, because he's going to want a good number of lands. Well, maybe not. With the Blossom Dryads, they're essentially lands, so if he's worried about getting his Air Elemental out, it's not a big problem. So against the 2-2, I might normally leave back my Sleek Schooner to block, but I think it's more likely he's going to use it for mana this turn, so I'll go ahead and chip in for 1 damage. Like trading 1 damage for 2, but I have an inkling that he's just going to be not attacking anyway, even if I was threatening a block. And 2 damage won't matter. If he plays an Air Elemental, I'll just Pious Interdiction and get in for 4, depending on what I draw. But a 4/4 flying is going to be worth killing in general. Let's pull up his hand again. So Blossom Dryad is not a merfolk, notably. So the Mystic doesn't get him any value yet. Curious what his decision is here. Looks like he's going to play multiple spells instead of tapping out for the air elemental. Nope, he's just going to play the air elemental. It's fine by me. Wasted scoundrels, or wanted scoundrels. That's actually kind of an interesting draw. Right now what I'm thinking is it worth it to offer a trade and save my Pious Interdiction for something later? I think given that I drew the wanted scoundrels, I'm more likely to want to use it. Reason being, next turn, if I had to guess, he's going to set up a block on the Sleek Schooner that clears his board out a little bit, and then my wanted scoundrels will be more likely to do some damage. The counter argument to that would have been there's a chance he doesn't take the trade, and then I get to develop my board more. So I'm not sure which is correct. Going right, see what that finds him. So now we know his hand is a Blossom Dryad, a Vinesheeper Mystic, and a Storm Sculptor. That was a nice pickup from him. So that's going to be able to get him his Air Elemental back pretty soon. He's just going to play another Blossom Dryad if I had to guess. If he can flip this thing, he can make a lot of mana with the Blossom Dryads. But there's not really any mana sinks in this format, so don't really care about that. Takes 4 creatures, right, to flip this? Beginning of end step? Sure. What's the hold up there, Jack? Got nothing else to do this turn. Just pass the turn. Oh, he's disconnected. Alright, I'll probably cut this part out then. Alright, looks like the opponents figured out their connection issues. Took about 5 minutes of just waiting around there, but okay, let's make some decisions here. Contract killing was a good draw. Probably just gonna play the scoundrels, use it to crew, and send with both. I'm trying to decide if I want to use my contract killing now. I'd rather wait, I think. Because what he's likely to do is use the Storm Sculptor to pick up the Air Elemental. He won't be able to replay it immediately, which I guess is a good thing, but I don't think I need to use contract killing now. Get plenty of value here. Kind of on the beatdown plan right now. It's not likely to work forever. Eventually I'll be able to set up good blockers for my 4/3s on the ground. It's going to use Opt. It's got a decision, whatever it is. Puts it on top. Alright, so I think that's it for what we know from his hand. Now we still know he has a Vine Shaper Mystic and the Storm Sculptor. He's going to use all of his mana now, whatever it is that he's casting. Siren Lookout, pretty good. Just nets him a Water Trap Weaver, oh boy. Good to know about. Keeping that on top, obviously. Another Siren Lookout, oh boy. Opponent's hand is very strong. So now we know his whole hand. He's got Vine Shaper Mystic, Storm Sculptor, and he's about to have a Water Trap Weaver. And now he's able to put a stopper on my 4/3s for the time being. So let's see what we draw. He also gets to flip his Growing Rights, but that doesn't really matter right now. Need a good draw here. Land, wasn't it? So, decisions to make. I'm tempted to use my contract killing to kill one of those Siren Lookouts, which would allow me to send in with both of my 4/3s without losing one, which I kind of like. But then his play is going to be Storm Sculptor, pick up the Air Elemental, replay the Air Elemental, and then that's goodbye to our board. But I think we can eventually get around that. I want to get in as much damage now as I can before he stabilizes the board next turn. Let's crew up the schooner. Chip in for 8. He can either chump or go to 2. Next turn he's going to have 1,000,000 mana. The, what is this, Ixalan plus double Blossom Dryad, so he's going to be able to cast pretty much his whole hand, although he doesn't have infinite blue mana. I guess he can untap an island with one of the Blossom Dryads, so maybe not his whole hand, but most of it. Pass the turn. We're gonna need like 1 or 2 more good over the top spells. I think one of our big flyers. Or another removal spell for the air elemental, perhaps. So that's gonna tap down one of my 4/3s. Probably just gonna Storm Sculptor back the air elemental and then set up to just replay it next turn because he can't do it yet. Guess he can also play the Vine Shaper Mystic to gum up the board some more. I guess now he gets to start putting counters on his Water Trap Weaver because he has another Merfolk. This is actually kind of an interesting turn for him. He should have enough mana to do everything he wants to also. There's even a world where he might want to bounce the Vine Shaper Mystic instead of the Air Elemental, but I don't think that's correct. Untapping Forest, that's interesting. Let my opponent do their math. I don't know why they're untapping Forest instead of Itlamok. Maybe they don't know about the interaction, or it just doesn't matter for their math. Yep, so that's going to come up the ground. Storm Sculptor is going to pick up the Air Elemental. Alright, we need a good draw here. It's not bad. So, what can we do about that? We can use it to save our Sleek Schooner, but I don't even know if it's worth saving. Maybe I just want to leave it back on defense. Pass the turn. We do have to worry about dying ourselves now. So I don't want to get too aggressive and lose a race. What happens if I send with just the Sleek Schooner? He probably trades with like Water Trap Weaver. There's no like double block scenario where I can blow him out. Can't give first strike to it, it's not a vampire. I mean, if he doesn't block, we can just kill him. Maybe he won't suspect it, but that's unlikely. If I do that, he makes a single block. I don't even know if I use the Vampire Zeal. I might just pass the turn. I could also send for 1, but that's not great, because then I take 1,000,000 damage on the backswing. So if he does make this trade, on the backswing I take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's assuming he sends with everything. You might want to leave some stuff back so he doesn't die himself. So I think I do keep sending in, actually. I guess I'm okay with the trade. I'm also okay with him trying to race, because he has to be kind of careful here. Yeah, he's just going to make that trade. I'm going to let it happen. I'm going to hold on to my Vampire Seal to get better value later. He's going to replay his Air Elemental. Hopefully that's all he can do. Send him for 3, leave everything else back. Makes sense. Still need to draw something pretty good. Okay, that's a good draw. So, yeah, I'll just play that and pass. drew something. Alright. See if the Explorer finds him. Wind Strider. Not bad. Just the Storm Sculptor again. That was a good draw too. So, he kept the Wind Strider on top. I don't know the last card in his hand, but I can assume it's a dead draw, because he didn't do anything last turn with it, unless it was a blue card. But then he could have still cast it with the Blossom Dryad, so... let's see, I can send with both of my flyers. That offers a chump attack, but if he chooses to block there, he dies to my combat trick. And then I get in a free point of damage if he just blocks here as expected. But the question is, does that free point of damage matter? And I don't think it does, actually. So I guess I'll leave my guy back to keep back as many blockers as possible. I'll give flying, send, use my combat trick. Could have also given vigilance, but I don't think I need to. I have enough blockers back. Alright, so his last card was just a land. That's good to know. So the one thing about this format I don't love is that there's not enough good mana sinks, so even though he's just got 1 billion mana right now, he just has nothing to do with it. He's still at the mercy of the top of his deck. As long as I don't die to something randomly here, I think I'm good. Fathom Bleak Cutthroat. Okay, so let me make sure I don't die here. I guess I send with just Glorifier and the Aegosaur. Question is, do I give Vigilance? Guess there's not much point, because all of his guys are 2 power anyway that I care about blocking. Just pay 2 to give it flying. Don't want to pay too much life, because the Storm Sculptor is the only way I could lose here. So if I do this, he has to chump block and take 3. And I'll just play out my last card as a blocker. And he has to draw a way to kill me, basically. If he can put me to 2, he can prevent me from giving this flying, but I don't think he can do that and present enough damage to take away that option and present another flying blocker. Probably just has to make some all-out attack here. I'll block everything I can. At the moment I can go here, 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 and take 5. Looks like my best option. Drew something he can cast, Pounce. Don't think that's gonna do it. I can go block, block, take 7, but then he's gonna have no blockers. As long as I don't misclick. Yep, go to 2. Alright, very close one, but we pulled it off. Alright, sweet. We got a 4-1, which is actually a little better than I was expecting to do with our deck, considering that we didn't have any sweet rares or anything. Let's see if I can pull up my pool again. Yep, I definitely like the black-white deck better than the blue-green, even though we didn't really play the blue-green that much, only in one game. Just seeing how the games played out, I think my instinct was correct to go for more of the long game than the high variance, aggressive deck. I am a fan of the sealed format because, first of all, the rares aren't too overpowered, and secondly, like, one thing I don't like about draft is that it's so synergy driven that you really have to maximize your just niche corner case cards that aren't really good cards on their own right and just care about the synergies with other cards in your deck. But sealed is kind of more just back to basics of limited and just playing good cards and managing your curve and using your removal correctly and just using fundamentals rather than trying to build the most busted deck you can. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more sealed or more draft, or if I should just stick to standard for the time being. But I do enjoy doing all formats. I think I still consider myself a limited deck player at heart. I just know most people are here for my constructed videos, so if you feel strongly one way or another, let me know. But either way, thank you for watching and sticking through to the end, and we will see you next time.